Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 12 of the Crubcast. I'm going to pass it directly off to our host, the man dancing right next to me. That is All Hail Buckets, also known as Nico. Hello, Nico.
What is going on, gamers? We are here today. I am your host for the evening, All Hail Buckets. I am joined, flanked to my side is the man, the myth, the legend, JTAR9. Please say hi again.
I am back. It's been a long time. I haven't seen you all. How are you doing?
Pretty darn good. And we also have to introduce the one, the only Mr. Brody.
Hey, hello. It's me.
I genuinely couldn't tell you why he looks like that.
And lastly, the newly bestowed with jewelry, the newly enjeweled, the blue-haired, the tattooed, Wolf Ko-san. Say hi.
Hi, that's me. And if you're listening in, well, just imagine the greatest tattoos you've ever seen in your entire life, please and thank you. But how's it going, guys? How's it popping?
I made your tattoos.
Oh, dude, it's
You
great.
did.
I mean, yeah, at least you don't look like me and everyone that I live near, which is just, we look like a stamp, like a stamped passport. like yours are.
That's an aesthetic.
Cover your whole
Yeah,
arm.
that is.
Oh man! Oh no! I'm doing it on purpose. I'm doing it on purpose. It's very, very purposeful for this.
Does it get you through airports faster?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Totally.
At least we hope it
Brody-
does.
Brody, can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with your visuals?
Well, I think that would be unfair to the audio listeners to explain this whatsoever.
So
very
if
good
you
point,
want to
yeah.
see it, you got to check us out on the YouTube.
Yeah, well, that's fair. Well, actually, no. Don't we want people to listen on the Spotify?
Yeah, you have to explain it.
Don't we get more money on the Spotify?
I don't know where we get more money, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Spotify hasn't paid us Joe Rogan money yet.
Oh yeah,
But
that's fair.
What if we
That's
just
fair.
vaguely hint at it and like make them guess? Like,
Yeah.
if I'm saying I'm giving some kind of Christian speech, and it's very healthy.
Yeah,
It's-
healthy.
It's always
Healthy
healthy.
Christian speech. I would dare throw in phallic.
You know, it's a little
I
bit
don't-
phallic.
I don't know. It's just curved a little. I wouldn't say it's.
Yeah, well, wherever everyone's mind went, you're exactly right. Whatever it is, you're
You're
right.
not far off, yeah.
Oh my
so
God.
fellas.
Hold on, wait. Hold on, real quick. It does look like a ball and penis, though.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely it does.
And now I'm
They are-
looking at it.
Hasn't that always been? Hasn't that
isn't-
always been the mission statement?
I was gonna say,
I don't think so.
Doesn't Lance Armstrong have a missing testicle?
Yeah,
I don't think he's in that show.
dude, no, live
But
strong.
he is on Brody's screen right now.
Yeah.
Oh, he is. Kind of.
Live strong, Brody. Oh man, dude, so here's how like crappy of a person I was in high school. I guess this is
ready.
not that bad compared to like, a lot of things, but
I thought you were going to say
when-
compared to me. I was like,
no,
okay,
well,
this
immediately
guy-
after Lance Armstrong like was outed as having cheated in the Tour de France.
That wasn't in
I
high school, was it?
immediately. What?
Was it in high school?
Yeah, when else would it have happened?
Oh, I thought it was later. I thought it was when we were in college. Anyway,
it
continue.
I mean, if it happened in like early undergrad, then like sure, but like, I don't really remember. But
When it
either way,
happened.
I went out and bought a Live Strong t-shirt
Oh my gosh.
immediately. Like we found out he cheated, and I went out and immediately bought a Live Strong t-shirt.
Why?
Because it was funny. Because I didn't understand the implications of consumerism. At that time, right?
You were just like, yo, he doped? That's sick.
I was just like, yo, that's a good meme.
Okay.
Meme. Defrauding a very celebrated competition in cycling.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's a good meme, and it's a good joke because it like supports cancer. I of course
You would
didn't-
think. You'd hope.
Yeah.
right. Well, I didn't understand how nonprofit dollars and how charity dollars worked back then.
Right.
And not to say I understand it now, but I definitely understand it more so. And speaking of understanding things more so, I didn't have a good seg in mind, so we're gonna get to the real meat and potatoes of this week, boys.
All right.
I got
So-
one. Speaking of understanding things, my brain is so foggy today. I thought you were talking about the astronaut for way too long. conversation. It took me a while to pick up on that it was the bicyclist. Cyclist?
I mean, it's the
Oh
same.
my god.
It's the same person. So
Yeah.
The
They
cyclist,
both cheated.
yeah.
One cheated at being a cyclist, and the other cheated at being an astronaut.
yeah.
Yeah,
He
'cause-
cheated.
well,
the moon landing is fake.
We've heard the moon landing is fake, not reputable.
I mean, Coach talked about Joe Rogan money. Maybe if we spread some misinformation, maybe we'll start.
We can
getting
get a little
some,
bit of. We get a little bit of.
just make sure you
Yeah.
make sure you preface everything with, I'm not an expert, but
Well, I'm not. I mean, I'm not an expert, but the moon
But-
landing could have been faked by Lance Armstrong.
I thought you were talking about the saxophone player.
Oh yeah, dude. That's Bill Clinton.
Yeah, it's Bill Clinton.
Oh, Bill
He also-
Clinton. He also faked the moon landing, though.
Yeah, he also faked the moon.
but then he did show up there once. Trust me.
I'm not an
man,
expert, but you can trust him.
Yeah.
You think their arms were tired after they flew to the moon?
Yes.
No.
no, well, it was their
Maybe.
legs
Isn't
because
that
they
Frank
had
Sinatra, though?
had the ET
Oh, yeah.
bicycle.
Their legs. They put wings on their back legs.
Okay.
Like a
Oh
fish.
man.
Like
Yeah, like a fish. Mhm.
Fish don't have legs.
See, I was thinking Hermes of like Greek lore, but I like
Oh, yeah.
fish.
When you
Okay,
said
fish.
Hermes, my brain immediately went to Hermes Conrad.
I went to Futurama as well. Yeah.
Jojo.
I haven't seen the new episodes yet. Have you guys seen?
I
Any
think
of
it's.
the
I
new
think they're doing them
episodes?
weekly, so I'm waiting for them to finish
Yeah.
it up.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
I've watched their last 2 episodes. Very good. Highly recommend.
Just
Yeah,
more
good
Futurama
man.
in it.
Yeah,
All right,
pretty much.
Maybe we should do that for the Patreon, dude. We should do a spoiler cast of Futurama, the new season. But
When it's
anyway,
done,
I digress, fellas. The question that we brought in today, or the topic that I've brought in for us to discuss today, is fragmentation in the age of the internet. Content, look, sure you guys know. You guys don't live under a rock. You guys go on the internet. There's so much to do. There's so much to watch, right? I know, Justin, you've been a part of sort of a previous discussion about like you had to be there with video games and like sort of the online implications and communities surrounding that. But I just kind of want to expand that a little bit and talk about, sort of how do we feel about there being so much content that it's instant gratification and you can't just say, oh, did you watch the episode of this thing last night because it's the biggest thing on the planet? It's I don't know. Discuss. Justin, do you want to open us up?
I can definitely relate to the last thing you just said of like, did you watch this last episode of blank? Because I probably talked about this on the podcast before. Back when I was in elementary school, it was a thing in like they would say it over the loudspeaker of the morning announcements every day of who won that week's episode of American Idol and who got kicked out and stuff like that. Like it was a thing that was around the school and everybody was talking about specifically like what happened on last week's episode of American Idol. And I never watched American Idol, so and like hearing about it didn't make me want to watch it. I was just like, oh, that's happening, okay. And then I would just go on with my day. But now it feels almost like if there's anything you want to talk about, there is a subsection of the internet for you to go to dive into a conversation as deep or as shallow as you like. And it is truly fascinating and also kind of scary how deep you can get into something and how far you can go with whatever topic you would like to discuss with online.
Yeah.
I mean, since Brody's having a speech on it, I think he should talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah, Brody's given a TED talk, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's I have the most authority because I have my background. No, I ran into this issue a lot when I started to join the workforce in my career job as an effects artist, because it was like, effects artists are a lot of the time, I would say, it tends to be a profession that attracts a certain amount of terminally online people, but also, when you're terminally online, you're not watching the same things everyone is watching. Even when you have something as big as like, Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, one of those big shows that everyone's I didn't watch any of those, right? Like the closest, like you hear about the water cooler talks of yore, like, did you see, like, even as early as maybe the early 2000s, you still had them because, did you catch the new episode of Friends last night? Wow, wasn't that season finale weird? Whatever. You don't get that anymore because I don't think, because there's such a wide range of content that like you're not forced to watch something just because it's on. You can watch whatever you want at any time, so you can literally just delve into, these are my specific interests. If I want to watch like only murder mystery shows or play murder mystery games for the next month, I can do that and then not have anything to like talk to about my friends with, unless like, I can convince them to play it or whatever, something like that. So it creates this like, what do you talk about at work? And for me, it was a lot of, whatever we were doing at work. I found that a lot of effects artists were just the common talk, unless it was something like two people may have had in common individually, was just like, oh, hey, did you see the new like master class on water effects or whatever? And it's like, that's cool, I get it, but I don't always want to talk shop all the time. So you almost feel this pressure to start to delve into the stuff that might be more popular. I mean, the nice thing is, you do have some overarching thing. I mean, I'm not going to say everyone does. Plenty of people don't like Marvel or Game of Thrones or whatever, but you do have like, if you have one of those, you have something to talk about. But that conversation, at least in my experience, tends to be very thin, very shallow. I've found the most interesting, intricate conversations I've gotten into with people that I've met since being out of high school and going on and having to meet people that weren't just my childhood friends, have been like, oh, I find one specific individual, I find some common thread, like, oh, we both played a lot of like PS3 games or something, so I made my best friend in college on my first day because I just, Infamous somehow came up and we talked about it and just bonded from there and went from there. But like, you have to bond with people on an individual level. Not that you didn't have to before, but now like you have like more so than ever, because you have to find those few interests or that one interest even, and go from there. It's, I don't know. I probably have more to say on the topic, but Sean hasn't talked yet, so I'm going to make him do it now.
Yeah, good man.
So going into the whole content thing, I know we're talking about, oh, have you seen the latest episode and blah, blah, blah. This might be a bit of a hot take, but I kind of completely but I am not a fan of releasing entire seasons in one day sometimes. It depends on the show. Because there's something about like waiting for the next episode and build up and hype. And oftentimes, like for me, I love JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And part 6 was Netflix. And they had 3 separate sections where it was like, all right, they released all 12 episodes here, all 12 episodes here, all 12 episodes here. And there was no hype, because with JoJo, there was like JoJo Fridays where everyone would get together, they'd watch the show, and then they'd talk about it. But whenever Netflix did it, there was no JoJo hype. And this was one of those that like they specifically really needed that type of thing. And now that's a little, like I said, that's a little niche. I do prefer the weekly format, but I do also understand kind of how, I guess, streaming has really cultivated a what's next type thing. One of the biggest things that I realized is sitcoms are kind of freaking great whenever it comes to like, just all at once. I mean, that's how pretty much The Office became what it was. But I think it depends on the show. And again, that comes down to how much content there is out there, how there's just a wide variety, but also, since I'm going to go back into JoJo, you also, if you want to stay spoiler free, you have to stay away from the internet, and that's such a difficult thing to do, especially when it comes to like anime, because there's manga that comes out, and you have to stay away because people are like, oh, what's going to happen? And I guess that goes for video games. Actually, it does go for video games as well. I've had to mute Final Fantasy 16 for the longest time, but because there's such a wide variety of content out there, you can find those niches. You can talk to people, but at the same time, you gotta kind of be wary, because you never know. You go on one Reddit thread, boom. Oh, my favorite character is going to die in the next 2 episodes. Great. And you just open up your bottle and that slapped me back. But yeah, it happens. In case you're wondering, for those of you who are just listening in, I took a drink and the water came back and went inside my nose.
Your nose was thirsty.
Speaking of those people listening in, you can find our podcast on all media, all podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anything like that. We're also on YouTube. If you want to catch these episodes live and not have the week delay that we have cooked into the podcast, you can watch us on twitch.tv/crub_official. We're live every Tuesday at 6:30 Eastern Standard. And if you want to see some more unique content that we're cooking up in the behind the scenes stuff, you can subscribe to our Patreon. You can get all of that all in one place. So
yes,
but
exciting. We do have a Patreon now. We do have a Patreon now, and find us at Crub Official on everything except Twitch, which is Crub_official, like Justin just said.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. I mean, Justin and I have some pretty exciting things coming up for the Patreon. I think that's where you're gonna tend to find a lot of spoiler casts and things where we talk about more specific media in depth. We try not to spoil things on the main podcast, and so that's our grounds to do that. So come find us there. Come hang out.
And I think that it also helps us to rope back into the podcast, actually, because we are doing so many different spoiler casts. Oh, sorry, you go.
I have one more thing to say, which is that please leave us a review on those podcast platforms. Leave us a nice little positive review on YouTube. Please give us a like, which I'll make you a deal, make you the same deal that Kevin always makes, which is if you don't like it by the end of the video, you can take it back. He's so right about that. It's free. Hit that gosh darn like button, please.
Leave a good review on the podcast platforms. Leave all negatives on the YouTube. Thank you.
Yeah. Negatives on the YouTube. Negatives on our Twitter.
Yeah, especially Twitter.
We have a Hive.
Oh, we do have a Hive.
We do.
Dude, get us a negative.
I don't even understand what these platforms are.
Negative stuff in our TikTok comments. We also have a TikTok, which is hilarious to me.
We do too. Oh my gosh.
But that kind of helps.
Fragmentation of the Twitter.
I was gonna say that kind of brings us back into the topic here, because with the fragmentation of how many different platforms you can interact with other people on, that then just creates more audiences, more fandoms that exist for the same exact thing. So you have the Twitter fandom, you have the TikTok fandom, you have the YouTube fandom, you have the Reddit fandom, you have the Blue Skies fandom, you have the Hive fandom, you have the Grindr fandom, you have all these fandoms that you can have.
Grindr?
You just say the
Grindr. Okay,
these are not fandoms.
I mean, that's hilarious. First of all, like having a brand as an account on Grindr.
God, I've actually done that before. Not on Grindr.
For those who are not in the know, Grindr is a dating app.
It's a dating app. There we go.
Grindr is a dating app.
But what I'm trying to get at is,
find Crub on Tinder.
I think Deadpool was on Tinder at one point.
I believe that.
That makes sense. Yeah,
we hung out once.
Good old Wade.
Oh man, you run into brands on Twitter, on Tinder because they can advertise there. But to Justin's point,
not only do you have so many different fandoms for so many different things, it's all over the place, and not everybody's on every platform. So now you just have a bunch of people that you will never see if you only interact on one platform. Yeah. And that just creates this whole thing of like, what does the fandom actually want? Yeah. And at the end of the day, I think it is, you kind of have to listen to the fandom, but also at the same time, you kind of have to disregard it, because if you listen to everybody, you're not going to get anywhere.
The way that I see it, it's you listen to the fandom to keep your core base happy, but then you have to not listen to them in order to expand your audience and reach new people, right? But by virtue of that, right, there's so much just content, right? And I'm not talking about YouTube. That's a conversation for another day, right? Like on YouTube, it's crowdsourced content
Mhm.
and crowdsourced crowds. You know, whereas something like a Netflix or a Hulu or, you know, with how the meteoric rise of Disney Plus, you know, you got your Formula One folks over on Peacock. You got your people who are still buying like NFL Sunday Ticket, for example. There's a lot of places to watch a lot of things.
WWE Network, like
WWE. That's I don't know if
Peacock
they have that
as well,
anymore.
right?
They killed
it
that
is
and brought
Peacock.
it back several times, and I don't know if they're in a kill or a bring back.
I don't know what phase they're in with WWE Network.
Yeah.
But the
I think
point is, there's so many different ways to consume media, and there's so many different places to then talk to people who are fans of that media, and then like you'll have the talks with people on Twitter, and then you go to an event that everybody is at, like at a big wrestling show for wrestling, or you go to a convention for like video games, and just like nobody, you'll like say a meme, and then you'll have your friend in a Discord call tell you that it's bullshit because that meme is real, and I swear to God.
What is it?
Wrestling is actually like the exception that proves the rule, because it has such a dedicated fan base.
It does.
And also it has basically, I don't want to call it a monopoly because now there's two companies that everybody watches. But basically, if you talk to a wrestling fan, there's a 100% chance they know what WWE is and vaguely know what's going on over there and vaguely know who's in it, right?
Right.
There's probably about a 75% chance they know what's going on in AEW, but then that chance drops so much lower when you're talking about any independent wrestling promotions, right? And the reason it proves the rule is because when we talk about like movies and TV, right? It's like Brody made this point, I think, in the pre-show, or maybe early in one of his earlier points, which was that like, yeah, sure, there's Marvel and there's things and there's Game of Thrones, right? But these things aren't monopolies. These things aren't the only content that people who are fans are watching.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to find fans, and that's the thing with wrestling. It's easy to find fans. You throw out a too sweet, and if they do it to you, then they're a wrestling fan pretty much. You know, with everything else, it's like, oh hey, have you seen Multiverse of Madness? And the answer is gonna be no for a lot of people, a lot of folks in the workplace.
God, yeah.
And
yeah,
I mean, do you guys have any other like examples? I know American Idol was a great example because Sanjaya, Malakar, and to that extent, Sirius satellite radio was a much bigger thing because that's how Sanjaya got as far, to my knowledge. We can, whoever's editing this, I'll fact check it and send you the text to put on screen right now. But I believe the story goes, the legend has it that Sirius Satellite Radio, Howard Stern, was telling people to vote for Sanjaya Malakar to move on, even though he wasn't like all that good of a singer in comparison to the others.
I didn't know that. Well, I knew he wasn't the best singer because I do remember watching American Idol back then. Yeah. Another show that I think was really big back then and still has like a lot of interest nowadays, it's just a little different, is Survivor.
Oh, yeah. Good
example. Oh, The Bachelor is also another one.
Really good examples. Super strong.
We used to, I'm not proud to admit this, but we used to do like, because I like football, and a lot of my football friends were also like super into doing fantasy football drafts. So what we used to do is when there was like a new season of The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, is we would draft pick certain characters, or I guess actual people, whatever they are.
On The Bachelor?
We would, of The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, like, all right, I'm going to pick this person, this person, this person. And whoever won at the end, like, they got to choose a punishment essentially for the loser. And it ranged all over the place.
That's awesome.
We were not the best of people with those, but I don't think I'm not gonna say it because we promised we wouldn't talk about that stuff.
You're like
But,
some naked lap type of punishments.
Oh, I wish that was the worst. I've done that before.
Tame. Naked lap is
tame.
like naked lap is like, oh man, like when we talk about a naked lap for losing a game of Pong, it's like very outdated.
God. All right, I need
Which
you
is
to just
hilarious.
get. God. All right,
Sean's
you lost
got
Pong.
the
I need you to
darkest
get
anime
naked.
backstory.
God.
God. I've done a lot of terrible things. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh man, dude.
I will say that from the fragmentation of audience's standpoint, I think sports is kind of a cheat code. I think that no matter what, if you're a fan of the sport, you'll probably know the goings-ons of most of the teams in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, then you kind of just can have a conversation with anyone who follows the league. And if they follow a different team, you can still have a good conversation.
Yeah.
Like,
Which is funny, right? Because like, I feel like... Sorry, Sean, you want to go? My bad.
No, I was just going to say I'm a football slut, but go on. Everyone knows that. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll see me on Sundays yelling about the Bengals.
Shout out to
That
Daniel
is true.
Jones, best quarterback in New Jersey.
Daniel Jones, oh my God. Wow. No, well, actually, he's not the best quarterback in New Jersey anymore.
He sure as hell is.
We have a certain immunized individual.
he's washed, baby. It's Daniel Jones season, baby.
God.
We
I
can
can't say
only
the best
hope.
quarterback in New York because Josh Allen's in Buffalo, but
Right. That's fair. Well, Josh Allen's the only quarterback in New York.
exactly.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Oh man.
But anyway.
I miss when Johnny Manziel was funny to like
God.
make fun of.
Oh, that was fun.
Now it's just
Oh,
sad.
Yeah. That
No, it
just
wasn't.
gives our audience a glimpse into my sports knowledge. It's not much. Well, but that's the other thing though, right? Is like, I feel like even sports has become a thing where it's not like water cooler talk anymore, to Brody's earlier point. Sports used to be the thing that like, if you wanted to engage with like non-internet users, you had to know about sports.
and be like, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays, I don't know, Breaking Bad? That's like the closest thing. Better Call Saul?
I mean, even then, that's just like, it's another Game of Thrones example where you're going to run into enough people that haven't watched it, or like, and I think one thing, maybe this is like a launch pad into other things, is there's so many people, and I'm guilty of it myself, where I will see something that is, doing very well, popular, like Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, and kind of go, yeah, I don't want to watch that when everyone else is. Like, I've deliberately, I still haven't played The Last of Us 2. I plan to at some point, but I still haven't, because at the time I was just waiting for everyone else to not care about it so I could just play the game and enjoy it without like outside intervention or outside influence.
I feel that was me with Undertale. Like, I refused to play that for the longest time, and I played it like for the first time maybe 2-3 years ago. Because I'm not dealing with that. I just wanted to be completely on my own and see if I like it by myself.
Yeah.
So I feel that.
No, I'm with you. That's like, I think Taylor Swift released a record pretty recently. That's kind of where I am with that, just because I'm like, I want to enjoy it in peace. I want to enjoy it free of societal pressure to like it.
Yeah, I have plenty of things like that. Like to Sean's earlier point where he was saying that he likes weekly releases. I hate weekly releases. I can't stand them. But I think a lot of that comes from when I was a teenager getting into anime for the first time, really. Like seeing Pokemon and DBZ like before school, but I hadn't watched anything until like my friend showed me Full Metal Alchemist. And once I got into that world of anime where there was all of this content that was just already out anyway, and like at the time, nobody's really saying much about it unless you go to like niche sections of the internet. It was all of this backlogged content that I could just go through to the point where when I started to want to watch stuff that was coming out at the time, I would be like, okay, well, I can either, and I watch a lot of stuff dubbed too, so I was like, I can either watch this in Japanese as it's coming out, but I don't really have a reason to, because I'm not like going into these circles and talking about it with people and all of that stuff. So I would usually wait for the entire season to finish and then be dubbed and then watch that. And I don't watch a lot of recent anime. Like there's like a couple shows like Fire Force or whatever that I'll get into, but like My Hero Academia is still one where there's a new season every, year and a half or whatever, and I will wait the 6 months that it takes for that season to finish and be fully dubbed, and then watch it all in like one big thing. Because that's just how I prefer to watch stuff. And I think the thing that really broke me on it though was One Piece. Because I watched at the time, it was 2014 or something, and I caught up to it in 4 months with a 1 month break somewhere in there. Man. And that's like 650 episodes. Just watching like 20 a day, just constantly. I'm just like this roller coaster barreling down it, just absolutely. Because like it was like summer vacation between college, so I didn't really have anything to do. And then I even when I started college, I was still watching it because I was already on that ride. And then I caught up in like the middle of Dressrosa, which for the uninitiated is one of the longest arcs in that series. It's I think the only arc that's longer in the anime than it is in the manga, because they were doing like 0.5 chapters an episode so they wouldn't catch up. It's brutal. Yeah, for that to be the one to catch up in after watching like 20 episodes every day, to then have to go like weekly from there, it broke me. It completely broke me, and I was like, no, I can't. I have to wait until this arc is finished, then I'll watch it, and then the next one I'll wait till that one's finished, and then I'll watch it. Like I couldn't watch it weekly, and it broke me for every other show as well. To the point where like I love the seasonal releases because it's like I want to watch something all at once if I can.
Yeah, I feel like where I stand is that I'm kind of the Goldilocks between you and Sean, Brody. Justin, what I'll explain mine in a second. Justin, what do you think of weekly versus like batch releases, or like all at once?
It's funny, on the pre-show of this episode, I was talking about how I hadn't watched any of the Futurama episodes because I'm waiting for them to be done releasing them.
Yeah.
For certain things, I think it's better. I think for shows that have tension and shows that have like cliffhangers and shows that have things that make you want to say, okay, what happens next? I think a weekly release kind of just naturally leads that conversation and allows for a lot of people to discuss it. But for something like a Futurama or something that's more lighthearted or something that doesn't have as like engrossing of a through line between episodes, like if it's, maybe it's like something like a exactly like a Futurama where one episode doesn't lead into the next one.
Yeah,
I think
you
that's
can
a
just
good
watch
point.
them all at once.
I think that's a very good point. The nature of the content itself really does lend itself well to a big batch release for something like a Futurama, or even like I'm watching What We Do in the Shadows right now, the new season. And
Good
it's
show.
like those, yeah, great show. But those are coming out weekly, and I do kind of think that maybe detracts from it a little bit, but
yeah, I can see that.
Like imagine if we had to watch Tim Robinson one episode a week.
Yeah,
And they're just and it's just like a
Impossible.
20 episode, like a 20-minute long episode of just like 5 sketches and then you're done.
Yeah,
It's
legitimately.
pretty much
It's
yeah.
because I just watched all of season 3 again on Friday night. No, what day is it today? I watched
Tuesday.
it Saturday night. Saturday night I watched all of season 3 again. It's an hour and a half long, and you just watch it. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I
What I will say, in terms of the water cooler talk, I think movies on Netflix lend themselves very strongly towards fostering that kind of a discussion. And my prime example of that is Squid Game.
Yes.
That's a show.
That was the show.
It was a show?
Yeah, it's a TV show.
I thought it was a movie.
That's a season.
I'm confusing with the other one.
Bird Box?
No,
Bird Box.
There's that one.
Everyone talked about that.
Yeah, Bird Box was a big thing. But then again, though, that does beg the question of like, where do these things come from?
Bird Box? That was it. From what I read, and I could be completely wrong, but I'm never wrong, so I'm not. But from what I saw, it was like Netflix made these accounts to like make all these memes and like send them out to like Facebook and Twitter. And like it was really big on Facebook, which led to a lot of people, going to watch Bird Box. But a lot of the people that made these original memes and whatnot, they were made around, those accounts were made around the time, like around the month that Bird Box was, starting to pick up steam and before it came out and when it came out. So yeah.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
I'm gonna put a big allegedly on that so that we don't have to have Chris put the fact check in again.
Oh, I don't want him to even fact check. I won't even fact check. I'll just no.
Yeah.
We're not experts here.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. Like, that's definitely a big part of it, right? Is like, if memes go out, it's gonna be more popular. Like, look at Barbenheimer, right? Like, that's a whole thing. Real quick, I actually prefer, I think my best scenario for me is when a show is weekly, but it has like 4 episodes at a time. You know, so I don't know if you guys have heard of Jury Duty.
I think I know what you're talking about. Is it on NBC?
It was on Freevee, which is owned by Amazon.
Oh, I know about Freevee, yeah.
And it used to be IMDb TV.
Oh, you're okay.
So this show, the premise is that they have like actors. It's basically The Office if one person didn't know that it was a TV show.
Yeah.
Like they have one
it's
guy,
kind of like Murderville.
Yeah, pretty much, except the one guy
believes it's an actual case.
Actually doesn't know. Yeah, he actually does not know that it's a TV show until the end. But
yeah,
it's not like the one time they tried to do that years and years ago where they tried to make the guy a fool. In this one, they make him look pretty good, which is good. Like he's like a minor celebrity now, which is awesome. James Marsden is in it from the Sonic movie. They reference the Sonic movie.
Love it.
God. And I honestly, I need more people to like watch that. That's been the closest thing to water cooler talk for me because one other person at work happened to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, like you guys haven't seen it, right? I don't even know. Have you guys even heard about it?
No,
I've heard of it.
And so that was the thing. They released 4 episodes at a time, I think, and it was a 3-week. I think it's like 12 episodes or something like that, and it was over the course of like 3 weeks. They released like 4 episodes a week or something along those lines, right?
Yeah.
And so I like when they have multiple episodes coming out at once because then it kind of solves for a lot of those issues. But that said, right? Who's watching Freevee? Who's watching IMDb TV, now Freevee? In the age of, we're going through Netflix and we're like, what the heck is there to watch? Right? Like back when it was just... What?
My dad loves Freevee.
Really?
Yeah, he loves Freevee.
Man. Are your parents used to being advertised to?
Yeah. I mean, they
grew up
on my dad likes to watch a lot of, I think it's called Scorpion. It's basically just NCIS, but not NCIS.
Oh, yeah. My parents like that one too.
Yeah. So it's he watched a lot of stuff like that where it's just you put it on, you don't have to even think about it really.
Right. But do they watch a lot of like linear television?
Yeah.
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 So that's probably why they're okay with like the ads and stuff. I pay for YouTube Premium, so like I'm not used to being advertised to.
I mean the ads are just kind of like the ads you would get on a normal like screening of a TV show back in the day when you didn't have any streaming services. So for them it's just normal.
Yeah. Well, I will say this though, you know, as far as TV goes, spam callers, baby.
God.
As far as, TV goes, right? We don't see a lot of like, I mean, obviously, like, I think people of like in their like 40s to 60s, like they do have like, there are linear TV shows that those people are watching, right? Like those folks all know who was on The Masked Singer.
Yeah, like the American Idol model hasn't died. It's just in different shows now.
Yeah, exactly. It's American Idol. It's The Voice. It's X Factor. It's
is X Factor still around?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know there's America's Got Talent.
I think in other countries X Factor exists, not in America.
Yeah. I was gonna say because like I know the UK has it. And it's it's strong there.
That's what Simon Cowell's up to right now.
Right, and like America's Got Talent.
Penn and Teller made their own where you had to fool them on how you did all your magic.
That one was fun.
I love that show.
Yeah.
I love Penn and Teller Fool Us.
The most aggravating part of that show is just watching at the end when Penn is just like, "Is this how you did the thing?" And he doesn't say anything. He's just like, "Is this how you did it?" They're like, "Yeah, that's how we did it." You're like, "I know I know the rule of magic, but just say more words, please."
Yeah. Like,
I've watched enough of the show, and I've like done enough research into like magic tricks that like I know what he's talking about probably like 70% of the time.
Gosh.
He just he gives them like a little like, gives them the fucking DreamWorks face, like, and they're like, "Yeah, you got us."
Yeah. No, for real. This is something I don't tell people very often. I love magic.
That is somehow
magic.
The least surprising thing I've heard all day. Like, if you were to sit me down and say, which Crub member's into magic, Nico.
Yeah, but the thing is, like,
Nico.
I don't like theater, though, is the thing. It's just that, like, the level of cringe in magic is a different cringe than...
Well, yeah, because I don't like magic, but I love musicals.
Exactly. Right? And it's like, I'm starting to think that there are multiple frequencies of cringe that people can perceive and can't.
Well, yeah.
God.
But that said, right? Like,
take the test. Look at these 40 cringes, and how many cringes do you count?
Yeah. Well, I think like the most... So what are some more recent examples that we can think of like big cultural things, right? Like in our lifetime.
I feel like we're the crux of this topic is that as we go on, we see less and less of it because people are able to just enter into their own little bubbles of entertainment, to the point where, like, you know, there's all this, people talk about like, oh, millennials are like this, Zoomers like this, here's Zillennials or whatever. And I feel like it's more adequate. Like, I feel like it tells you more about a person to find out which game console they associate growing up with, as opposed to, you know, what quote unquote generation they're from. Like, if someone grew up on like a N64 PS1, I know more about them from that than if they say they're a millennial. If someone says they grew up on PS2, PS3, PS4, whatever, I can tell more about them from that than I could if you say they're a Zoomer or whatever. Like, I feel like I make my best connections with people who, like, you know, played PS2 or GameCube, or were in that, like, you know, maybe they played some PS1 or they played some PS3 and they associate that with their childhood, but like PS2 is right in there. To the point where, like, I genuinely find it more difficult to relate to people or become friends with people or carry on a conversation with someone who is more or less 5 years away from me. Like, if they're 5 years older or 5 years younger, it becomes tougher at that threshold for me to actually, you know, carry on a conversation, because I'm just like, you're just going to be into something. You're going to be into things that are just so much different from what I am that it's just difficult. I can't play my usual game of find a thing that we have in common and talk about that. I have to play my secondary game of ask questions, because people like to talk about themselves.
Oh yeah, that is a very big thing to do. Like, if you just ask what their interests are, hey, tell me about this. People go wild with that, which, I mean, I do too. I love to hear myself talk. I love to tell you about things that I care about. Like, I will sit here and tell you all about the Cincinnati Bengals if you care about that, or I will tell you about Elden Ring, or I will tell you about the Nintendo 64. You know, there's always something to talk about.
Don't worry. We're going to have an episode of the podcast where we're all normal, and that's when you can go off about football on that episode.
What do you mean when we're all normal?
That's going to be like the theme of the episode is that we're going to be normal for that episode.
I'm normal.
I don't know if I can be on that one.
We're going to be normal for that episode, and Justin's going to talk about sports, and you're going to talk about sports, and Kevin's going to talk about sports, and I won't be there.
Yeah, right. Like, I don't think that I could be on that one, because one of the, like, talk about fragmentation of audiences and stuff.
Yeah.
I think there's been like 3 or 4 different topics where you three, in this episode, where you three have gone off, and I've sat there silent, like, I don't watch wrestling, I don't watch sports, I don't play Magic the Gathering, I don't know what to contribute to this conversation right now.
I'm sorry. But Brody, actually, I do have a question that I wanted to ask while you were in the middle of your talk. You said, you know, you could tell a lot about somebody based off, you know, the system that they played while they were growing up. If you say Nintendo 64, what does that say about a person?
Well, if they say Nintendo 64, ooh, what does it say? Well,
it's not me. I just want to know.
It's if someone says Nintendo 64, they are okay. I mean, I feel like I can just use. I'm going to end up using YouTubers as like a comparison point here. Yeah, but like you're going to get like someone who's more like I don't know if okay. Like you're going to get like someone more like Ant Dude or someone maybe like Arlo or whatever. But if you go back and you say like SNES, you're going to get like Angry Video Game Nerd.
No, AVGN's further back.
Yeah, I guess. It's difficult to exactly express, like it's hard to quantify exactly what I'm saying here. But there are just slight differences I notice in how someone conducts themselves, whether they're, born in 1990, 1995, 2000, whatever. And I guess you could get more granular with it and say like, here's what someone with a PS1 versus an N64 say, but I think it's more just generational in that sense. Like, I think for me personally, it was like tail end PS1 into PS2 into like early PS3 is where I would like kind of quantify my childhood. And so, like I'm able to then go and talk to Kevin about Ratchet and Clank, which is, how I got here in the first place, because I just made that kind of connection and went from there. And then from that, here's all the people Kevin knows. Well, I can easily talk to, Chris about Sonic or, I don't know, anything. It's a difficult thing to precisely quantify. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, if you say you like N64 games, you like eating apples. Like, it's not that kind of like level of fortune telling. It's just like,
I mean, I do, but
vibe. I don't know. There's a certain, it's hard to explain.
So hear me out. Here's a terrible idea that probably will go nowhere, or we will do it. Make a tier list of YouTubers. There's an entire list of consoles, and then you have to put them bit by bit. Like, oh, AVGN, he goes to that console, what have you. Or, that's probably a terrible idea. I'm going to make you do that.
Better idea, on Crub.org, which is a website that you can go to and find everything Crub. We should just make BuzzFeed quizzes.
Oh my God.
We should. Oh, I can write some of those.
Which Crub member are you?
Oh, yeah, which Crub member are you? I'll write that tonight. I'll write that later. We'll put that on the Patreon.
Idea.
We'll put that on the Patreon. We'll do the which Crub member are you?
No, just put it up on Crub.org. Just put up a link to
Crub.org, yeah, make it free. All right.
Yeah,
cool.
Screw it. Let's have fun with that.
Yeah, screw it. Let's have fun with it. If we can, I'll write that out.
But to follow up on what Brody was talking about, he says you can feel a lot about like what console they grew up with, but then you'll have people at my work where they're very interested on the goings-ons of the relationship between Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez. Mm-hmm. And they're telling me like the whole lore and lineage of the entire breakup and re-get back together and then the breakup again of Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez. And I'm like, how do you have the bandwidth and the attention span to care about the things that you are saying to me right now? Like, how?
See,
I feel that.
But I understand that, though.
But because the thing is, like, I then care about, like, who each team in the NBA is trading for and why. And those things don't matter to me at all.
He's me. I'm coworkers.
Yeah.
He's me. I'm coworkers. I care about that stuff. Do I know all the Justin Bieber tea? No, but I know a lot of other tea that's going on right now. Like, there's like a lot of stuff. There's a lot of like things to like grab onto that are just like pulpy, and they make you forget about your problems. Right? There's a new industry plant on the block in hip hop that I've been like kind of like, thinking about recently, that I'm like trying to like, do a little bit of research on whatever, right? They're called Ghost Kids.
Oh, okay.
People, and we don't know who they are. It's kind of like doing like a Gorillaz type of thing, but they're industry plants. Like it's clearly they've got a lot of money behind them. And it's pulpy for the same reason that people like Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez. I'm following this stuff and trying to be like, oh, who does this sound like? Who does this sound like? And trying to be like, who are these people? Same thing when people were trying to figure out who the lead singer of Ghost was before the lawsuit. Spoiler alert, if you don't know who the lead singer of Ghost was, I'm not going to tell you, but don't look up the lawsuit if you don't want to know. There was a lawsuit. Their identity did get revealed, which was kind of sad, but also it sounded like there was some unsavory behavior going on there monetarily. But anyway, I digress. It's something fun to keep track of that isn't politics that you can like talk to people about. Anyway, I digress. They are fun things to keep track of and things to tell stories about. Continue, Brody. Sorry.
To Justin's point, I think, you know, it is very easy to like look at celebrity gossip and feel as if, you know, oh, I'm above that or whatever. But I feel like on some level we all do it. Like, oh yeah,
even YouTuber gossip, for crying out loud.
I am absolutely not above it. I'm 100% not above that. But
the thing I think in our circles, the thing that I see it happen to with a lot of people is game company CEOs.
God.
Like if I say the name,
oh my God, I know. Yeah, you're right.
If I say the name Randy Pitchford and you're the right person, you start thinking of so many things.
Yeah,
like you just follow the controversy of like a game company CEO, and it is genuinely fun on some level to be like, look at how. What does this guy do? What is happening? Why is he in charge?
Dude,
where are things going? What can I expect from, you know, how is this going to affect the company? All these different things.
Because honestly, when I look at this, sorry, you go.
My favorite is that. Sorry, I just have a quick thing.
No, you're good.
My favorite is that in our friend group specifically, if you don't know who these people are, you get bullied.
Yeah, you'll get bullied into learning about them.
Yeah,
and you don't have a choice.
Bullied into learning game CEOs. Continue.
How do you not know who Keiji Inafune is? Come on, guys.
That's a new one to me. I don't know that one.
He made Sonic.
No, he didn't.
What?
Oh, no. God damn it. No, Sean. Everybody knows that's Phil Spencer.
Phil Spencer did do that.
Yeah, he did.
A person who Mini-Me apparently loves Phil Spencer.
Yeah, Phil Spencer.
I watched the Mini-Me episode. I saw it.
And you know, I wonder how much of that is from like at one point during, you know, when E3 was in its heyday, you know, Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, they would come out with people like Don Mattress and
that's not a name.
No, it's Don Matrick, but that was the Xbox guy until he got fired for saying that people without internet connections should just play the 360 instead of the Xbox One.
True. Yeah.
But they would bring out these CEOs at their keynotes as if they were celebrities. In part because you know, it is a trade show, like I get it, but they would also like there was this brief period of time where they didn't know what to do between transitioning it from like a trade show to like a community thing, where they'd have like Jack Tretton out on stage with his arms at his sides, not knowing what to do with them, like, hello everyone, I'm pleased to talk about PlayStation. Here's the PlayStation Move. And it was so robotic and everything, but like that's the only people you had to like latch onto. Yeah. If you were in those circles.
Yeah, that's why Reggie Fils-Aimé like grew as big as he did back then, because he was like the personality.
Charisma.
Like, Nintendo was like, you're the one, you're going to go out there, you're going to get these people back onto us.
They specifically hired him because he was charismatic.
Yeah.
Like they were like, we need someone to sell it.
Everybody knows that there's only one, sorry to cut you off, Justin, there's only one video game executive that matters. Do you guys know who it is?
Hideo Kojima.
2 video game executives that matter. It's Kevin Butler. It's Kevin Butler. He's the only one.
Real. He's fake.
He's the only one that matters.
Now we're talking. Like, if we're talking about industry plants, now that's one of them.
Yeah. Kevin Butler. Oh, we should do an episode on industry plants.
Oh, gosh.
What would that be?
What do you mean? What would it be? We could
just talking about people who are industry plants.
I mean, I'll send everybody some music to listen to. We can talk about Kenny Powers being the K-Swiss CEO. Fictionally.
Throwing Kid Rock there too, because he's he comes from money, right?
I want to be a cowboy, baby. I'm
That is like-
immunized.
God.
No
That's just-
vaccines. I don't like Kid Rock.
No one does.
Is he for governor of a state or something?
No.
Sounds right. I don't know.
I tried to be one, but like Kid Rock does not exist to
Yeah.
me. He's just gone now.
This is true.
Man. Yeah. Wow. Oh man. But yeah, no, it's kind of the last thing that I have in the tank for the fragmentation of audience discussion, right? Is well, okay, I think I've no, yeah, this is the last thing in the tank.
Okay,
So
I'm ready.
when we think about like music, right? Like, you know, I know, Justin, you weren't really much of a music person until like semi-recently, like past couple years, I would say. Am I right in saying that?
Even then, I still don't really follow musicians.
Yeah, and Brody, you're kind of on a similar boat. I think.
Yeah, I don't follow any music stuff.
Yeah. Sean and I obviously are kind of have our ears to the ground a little bit more, but when we think about, right, you guys aren't music fans. You guys don't like go out of your way to listen to music, but you still know who Nickelback is, right? But if I ask you, like, do you guys know who Dua Lipa is?
Yeah.
I know one song that she did, and I don't know what the name of it is.
Brody?
I have no clue.
Oh, actually,
Yeah.
I know. The only reason I know Dua Lipa is because one of my coworkers is a really big fan.
Right. Well, I'm a huge fan. I love Dua Lipa. You know, but I suppose that's what I'm getting at, right? Like, you know, you got your Katy Perrys, your Taylor Swifts, your Nickelbacks, your even at this point, Post Malone is probably the last one of the artists that everybody like just kind of knows, at least in the United States. I can't really speak for you know, in the UK you got your Kylie Minogues and your Ollie Murs and your
Would you say that Ed Sheeran's up there?
Ed Sheeran's, right.
Ed Sheeran, yeah. Ed
You
Sheeran's
know,
up there.
And your
Harry Styles, I'd say, is up there as well.
Harry Styles, Ellie Goulding, right? Those are the only markets that I'm like super familiar with. Everybody knows BTS nowadays, I guess, too. But
That's true.
Yeah.
But they're more so.
but the
Yeah,
thing
they're more
is-
so for the memes.
the thing is, yeah, it's mostly for memes for BTS, even though they do have very, very good music, in my opinion.
And the fandom, because the fandom...
We stand Jungkook. Cook.
Sure. But the fandom is what takes most of the heat, right? People aren't making fun of BTS; they're making fun of BTS fans.
Yeah.
Which is insane because
Yeah, because I don't
the
really
music
see
is-
anything of BTS themselves. It's always the fans.
No, the music's very good. The music's very good. I highly recommend listening to some BTS. But, you know, the thing is, like, you know, I think the last couple this is just going to be, this rant here is just me listing off musicians to make a point. But,
Okay.
it's basically like, I mean, I'm sure you guys have probably heard of Lil Peep.
Yes.
Maybe through the Sean, I know you probably have, but like the other
Pretty
two,
much
you guys know,
sorry.
Lil Peep probably because he died.
Gosh, you just throw that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he did.
XXX Tentacion because he
I
passed away.
just recently started listening to his music.
Oh, dude, it's very good.
It's
very
it's a
good.
very unique sound. Super
Yeah.
like
Wait, which X?
X, yeah.
X.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
send you some of my favorites later, Justin. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm just like listing these off, and like these are people that not everybody has heard of, even though they've made such a huge splash in the industry, and they've made there's a whole like generation of rap music that was from them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like when I was in high school, there was one place to go on the internet for like discovering new music and like relatively underground, like relatively independent music, and that was DatPiff. The website was called DatPiff. It was a mixtape website, right, where you could people can just upload mixtapes, right? And the difference, of course, being that with a mixtape, you maybe don't go to a mixing engineer, you just kind of mix it yourself. You don't have to pay for samples because they were just free at the time, and I think they've legislated since then, but at that time, you didn't have to clear the samples, right? You could just post it and it was done. You weren't making money off of it. But that's how, you know, your folks like Soulja Boy, Lil B, and even Future, Waka Flocka Flame, all of those people came up. And you guys don't know who I'm talking about.
I do.
I actually knew most of those names.
Those names you just said,
Yeah.
yes, I do know.
Yeah.
Right. And that happened, that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Or more. As we did, as we talked about the last episode I was on, which was like a month ago. But with like music now, is everything has been engineered to be on Spotify or SoundCloud or everything. And musicians are not sticking as much as they used to. And I think that's a travesty.
Do you think it's because there's so much music to listen to?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of music to listen to, and it's like if you like one sound, you can just stick to that one sound till the end of your days.
Yeah.
Because there's essentially infinite content.
Yeah, and things like the radio have basically gone out of style. Why would I listen to the radio and have them play, whatever they're going to play when I could like plug in my Spotify, or if I have something downloaded on my phone and just listen to what I want to listen to. Even now with things like there's that whole Spotify AI DJ.
That I was going to actually shout that out.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I started using it and it's cool because it will. I want to find new music, but it's so hard to because I don't know necessarily what to search other than, here's a genre I like. I like rock or like classic rock, dad rock, stadium rock, or I like, country music or whatever. But a lot of country music's garbage, so it's hard to find that like that specific kind of music I want. And Spotify DJ is just like, all right, here's some stuff that we think you might like. Although sometimes it's like, here's some stuff that our editors think you should be listening to. And whenever it says that, I skip that category.
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't
do too.
Yeah, because I don't want what their editors want. I give me the things that you think I want in the genres that I do, but don't give me the things that you want to be popular.
It's funny. I will say the reason. Well, so first of all, yes, this is a very, very interesting point. Algos are taking the roles of DJs and tastemakers in society. But number two is that the music that they play on, like, here's what our editors want you to listen to, I often just find myself not liking.
I haven't even done that yet. Like, I haven't used AI DJ. I just look up Discover Weekly. I'm gonna try that out.
Because
at the gym.
It'll take like, here's some things that have been playing when you were a kid, and then for me it would play like FCP Remix and stuff like that. And I was like,
it says some buck wild stuff too.
That's awesome.
Like whenever sometimes it'll give you a year. Like it's like, oh, here's some stuff that you liked in 2018, and then it'll give some facts. I love the one that's just like, all right, here's some stuff you were listening to in 2016. What a year! The presidential election, blah blah blah. And I'm like, why would AI Spotify DJ say these things?
That's wild.
It starts fights. Starts.
Now I kind of want to do that, but I don't want to. I don't want to laugh at the gym. I just want to be angry and lift stuff.
Dude, mine is like so bad. Well, I'm so bad about expanding the genres that I listen to. That the AI DJ only gives me a rehash of like my more recent playlist, and then I thank my lucky stars when it's like, here's what you were listening to in the summer of 2018, and I'm like, oh yeah, that was a good year for music, because like I remember that year. It was a good year for music because, I mean, that was the year, I think the year that Lil Peep died. And so everyone was making emo rap, and that's what I listened to. So anyway, that was a huge digression.
Yes.
And to get back to the point, the AI DJ is a very good functionality. And I'd rather have an AI catering stuff to my taste than like a rando just being a taste maker.
Yeah, I will say, like, there's a subreddit called r/listen to this. And that's where I found some musicians that I still listen to and I really, really like.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool place of just like, hey, this is what I've been listening to recently. It's pretty good. Here's the genre. Give it a try.
Right. But we can't just go to our coworkers and be like, hey, have you heard KSI's first single years ago?
God.
No, because first off, there's like multiple layers to that like reference you just made.
Yeah.
Because first of all, you gotta know UK rap. You gotta know UK YouTubers, and then you gotta like know like FIFA YouTubers in general, and wrap it all up into one.
Yeah.
Do you want to know how I used to find bands to listen to back in the day?
How?
It wasn't like on, because there was obviously MySpace and there was like Nintendo Core and what have you. I would look at concerts and look who people were headlining with and who were like the backup bands and stuff. And that's how I found bands like 36 Crazy Fist or Haste Today. That's how I found August Burns Red and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it kind of like expanded my horizons. There's like Wolves at the Gate. That's how like I started to like really expand. And again, I grew up in like metal way back in the day. And I still do. But it's so, I still kind of do that. Like that's, like I know Spirit Box has really blown up recently, but like whenever they first came out, I started listening to them because they, I think they toured with Lacuna Coil way back in the day, and I love Lacuna Coil. And like that's how I started to like learn, you know, what it started to make me like try out different bands and what have you. Like I have like you go through my music and it's insane in all honesty. It's kind of, how do I want to word this? I'm intrigued to put on the AI DJ, but I'm also afraid to do that because I have no idea what the piss is going to happen.
Oh, it'll be fine. It's not like I had that same trepidation going into it. And then it just started playing songs I was already listening to, so it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, because I started getting into like Ghost Inside, which I wasn't super into back in the day. Okay, I'm just naming metal bands.
I just did it. You're fine.
I mean, Sean, you talk about how you found different music, and I and like how we find things is such an interesting thing nowadays because you can let yourself, you know, be at the whims of the algorithm or whatever, but sometimes you just like, I don't know, you want to find something a different way other than just like, hey, you know, computer, give me what you think I'll like. It's tough to find different ways. I like to still try to engage with word of mouth as much as I can, but I will never subject myself to word of mouth of the general populace because I just don't trust it at this point.
That's
right. You gotta have
word of mouth between. I feel like everyone has those specific friends that they know that their likes align with theirs in certain, you know, mediums, genres, whatever. And so like if a friend of mine comes up to me and says, you know, hey, play this, you know, I know that he likes a lot of puzzle games and I'm looking for a new puzzle game. He says, hey, play Talos Principle. You know, okay, I kind of let that one blow over, but then I tried it out. This literally happened like a few days ago. I played Talos Principle and I'm still going through it. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is fun. This is more than I thought it was. I'm glad that I got that recommendation. But like that word of mouth is more rare because I feel like it's harder now to convince someone that you know their tastes enough that recommendation is for them. Like, because a lot of people will assume if you're recommending something, they're like, oh, you're just recommending it because you like it. But I really do my best when I recommend something to someone to be like, I'm recommending this to you as an individual that I know and understand and think that you have a good chance of liking this. But then you have to do so much extra work to do that. And I do it honestly because I'm just like, I played this niche thing that no one else played. And I know people that would like it. If they would just play it, I would have someone to talk about it with. So there's that level to it. But you talk about different ways that we found things. One of the ways that I used to find different anime to watch because I was so new to it at the time when I was getting into it as a teenager was I would go on my anime list and I would look at voice actors that I liked, and I would look at I would look at shows where they played the main role and be like, okay, well, I like Todd Haberkorn from Full Metal Alchemist. I really like how he plays Ling. I see that he's the main character in Fairy Tail. Okay, I'll add that to my watch list. I'll try that out. And there was still plenty of like word of mouth stuff between my friends and I because we're all fucking weebs. But like a lot of it did come down to look for voice actors that I like. And once I started getting into like watching more subbed anime, like I just did that because it was like, you know, I didn't want to wait to watch Kill la Kill. I didn't want to wait to watch Attack on Titan. And then that was a nice gateway into being able to like watch like One Piece sub because I wasn't going to watch that dubbed. I've heard, or I've watched it now since like, and it's bad, but you know, it's easier to put on when you're working kind of thing.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But anyway, that's a digression from the main point, which is just like you have to kind of have these almost rules you set in place for yourself, because I feel like if you work within limitations that you set, you'll be able to find things easier. Like if you say, and you know, it could be fun. It could say, you know, I like a voice actor, go here, or you know, the headliner thing that you said. It's like it's an interesting way to just give yourself incentive to go and look for something else.
Yeah. But you also have to be willing to, and this is something that I've been trying to work to get back to, which is being willing to be open to new things and like new genres, new types of things that you wouldn't get just from like the AI or just from like this, that, or the other thing, right? We've talked so much about video games, you and I, Brody, specifically, about like, you know, I don't really like 2D games or side scrollers or things like that, right? And I'm tentatively, I would love to work my way into being able to play those games just to experience these worlds and these stories, right? But it's just not something that's in the cards for me right now. But I do have the wheels in motion to eventually be open to that.
Yeah, and that's why, and we don't have to go into the whole reasons that you've tried it and you haven't done it. I just want to give this as an example, but it's like, Hollow Knight was I recommended it to you because it was almost like,
take a shot.
It's almost like the friend of a friend feature on like PlayStation or Facebook or whatever, where it's, you know, Hollow Knight isn't the same game as Dark Souls, Bloodborne, those games that you like, but it has enough of that DNA where I thought, okay, maybe this is an entry point. And you know, it wasn't, and that's fine. But but before you had tried it, right? It was like, okay, maybe this will, you know, maybe this is a way in, and it had just enough that you were like, yeah, maybe that's the one. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, which I did.
And it's those adjacencies that I find are the easiest way to branch out into new things. Like if you find something that has like some of the DNA that you liked and some new DNA or something that you haven't tried, and then maybe from there, you know, you can jump to the next thing of like, okay, well now this has DNA shared from Hollow Knight, but doesn't have so much from Bloodborne. So go to this, and so on and so forth. Right. You know, there is also obviously the complete cold turkey method of just, I'm going to try something completely different from what I know that I like. And that could work too. That almost gives you a different entry point to a whole new window of friend of a friend type, that kind of line of going through things.
Yeah. And with that, I'm going to say it's time to start getting into some closing thoughts. Justin, you haven't spoken for a while. You have any closing thoughts that you want people to latch on to, or any ideas to like wrap yourself up? We're gonna go around the circle with just quick closing thoughts.
I think that there are so many different communities for the thing that you like on the internet. Don't let the community dissuade you from trying something that you may really enjoy. Like Sean waited years to play Undertale, but it might have been his favorite game of all time, and he didn't know until several years after the fact, and he's kept himself away because of the people that surrounded it. Like you may just find out, you might try something just to have something to talk about with coworkers at work or friends at school, and you may find that it's your new favorite thing. So just give it a shot. Worst that can happen is you can say you don't like it, and next time you're arguing with someone as to why the thing that they like is bad, you have factual evidence because you tried the thing, instead of just saying it doesn't look cool.
Yeah. Sean, you got any closing thoughts?
Yeah, like what you like and who gives a piss what people say. That's it. That's really it.
Good man. Same thing that Justin just said, but a little more concise. No, I'm just kidding. But I do agree. Brody, closing thoughts?
Well, to Justin's point, and I had wanted to kind of mention this, but I couldn't find a good place to put it, which is there are communities for literally anything that you like. I have made some very good friends off of when I was really into One Piece, and I really only had one other friend that liked it that I could talk to about it with. But I was like, you know, I'm 650 episodes to now 1,000 plus in, where I need to be able to vent my thoughts somewhere. So I would like engage with the One Piece Reddit. Eventually that became with engaging with the One Piece Discord. And I made some very good friends there. I've now since left the One Piece Discord. Like, I'm not in there anymore because I was just like, big community, not for me. But I took, I stole those people away and I put them in, my private channels. And I'm like, now I'm just friends with you on like a level that we can talk about anything. It doesn't have to be about One Piece. But similarly, I did a similar thing with Spyro, where I went into the Spyro Discord just before the remake got announced, so it got really populated at that time, and I, on the One Piece Discord, I made a lot of good new friends. On the Spyro Discord, I made a lot of good new enemies. Like, it goes one way or the other, depending on what you're going to say about it. And there's the whole generational shift. Like, so Spyro has 3 different generations.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that communities, your mileage may vary.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, if you're one of those people that struggles, because it's so hard to make friends in adult life. Like, I don't think I've been on good terms with coworkers, like, but because that water cooler talk isn't there, it's hard to make those really good friends, unless you can find someone that really has something that matches your taste. And that's rare to find in a sort of aggregate thing like a workplace where everyone is going to have this niche thing. But if you are, if you're a lonely soul looking for people to talk to, find the Discord for the thing that you like. Find the people that, talk to everyone there, and find the people that you like, and just be like, okay, you're now my friend group. It will work.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah. I just did that for the first time, like, recently. I haven't made any friends there. I'm not really looking to, but I have found that it's a place that I can go and talk about the thing that I like. This very specific thing.
And sometimes it's all you need.
And my closing thought, before we get to the Patreon question of the week, is go see Barbie. I did not see Oppenheimer. I can't recommend it.
Both good movies.
Find new music, find new movies, find new games, find new everything. Open your mind, expand your horizons as much as possible. We live in an age where your self-selection bias is only going to hurt you, because everything you want will always be available. So it's important to expand your comfort zone. And
make a conscious effort.
That is where I will leave this discussion.
Your favorites will always be there. You can always go back to them.
Yes. Brody, we put you in charge of finding a silly Patreon question.
Yeah,
silly or serious. You can ask us whatever you want.
Serious, whatever.
Well, boy, do I have one here. I got one.
All right, I'm ready.
Now, I think Chris was in charge of making this spreadsheet, and it says that it's we have a Patreon question from Ched Kilo, but I know that's not correct. I know it's Chef Kilo.
Yeah,
yeah. But Ched Kilo says he asks, you walk into a restaurant. What do you drink first? The ketchup, the creamer, or the A1 sauce?
The creamer, easy.
Ketchup, specifically the ketchup water.
Fuck you.
Yeah, the ketchup. You shake it up and
I go with the A1 sauce. I could just. I mean, here's the thing. I've not that barbecue sauce is the same as hot sauce, but I literally have just drinking a bottle of Frank's before.
Neither one of those are. But that's A1 is not hot sauce, or I forget the other thing that you said because I was just so angry.
Frank's is red hot.
I feel like the A1 and the ketchup are too similar. I feel like we need a third thing that's not in the same ballpark.
Do you want sriracha or mustard?
Yeah, make it hot sauce, and I will just say I will drink the hot sauce. I'll do it again. I'll drink another bottle of Frank's. That stuff's so good. I will not drink a bottle of Tabasco, however. Ooh. Tabasco sucks.
Tabasco's just vinegar.
So Tabasco Chipotle, the Chipotle smoked Tabasco, that stuff is fire.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. You're not wrong.
I'm sorry, Ched Kilo. We completely
Ched Kilo.
Well, no. So for me, I'm drinking the creamer because I just well, first of all, I do think it's weird to drink dairy milk, unless you're Justin. Justin's the only person allowed to drink dairy milk.
Why? That's fine. I don't care.
Wait. So what do you use for milk?
Almond
nuts.
Okay, that's a fair point.
Yeah, either almond milk, oat milk.
I think almond milk is cheating.
Soy milk is pretty good. Soy milk is pretty good. I think I
can show you.
The almond milk and almond creamer has proven to be the best. I dairy creamer I'll drink. I use dairy creamer because it's kind of hard to find an almond creamer or an oat creamer. But So I do drink dairy creamer, which is why I would drink the cream first.
That is the most like that's the most acceptable answer. Like I've drinking dairy creamer too, where it's just like, this is delicious, could be its own thing. Probably shouldn't, it'll kill you. But like
the dairy creamer is closer to cheese than it is to milk.
Because cream is just the thicker part of the milk, really.
Yeah.
I have not had a regular any glass of milk in the longest time. Anytime I do have milk, I have a thing of Nesquik, and I'll just put either strawberry or chocolate milk in there and just stir that bad boy up.
No, I quite like a glass of milk. I'm quite a fan.
Have you ever combined the Nesquik strawberry and chocolate?
No. Okay. I always got Ovaltine when I was a kid. I never got Nesquik.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, Justin is just too good of a guy that it doesn't matter if he drinks milk, whereas everybody else is not allowed to drink milk in my eyes.
I like the idea that it is morally wrong
to drink.
I actually have
milk.
I have a little story about almond milk.
Okay.
Which is when I was in college, there was a convenience store in my residence on the bottom floor, and I used to go down there to grab different things. And at one point, they didn't have any regular milk, but I just wanted some milk to drink, and all they had was almond milk. So I tried it for the first time, and I was like, "Oh, this is really good." And then I made a habit of going down to get it. And one time, I'm in line waiting to just purchase my almond milk and my snacks that I bought, and a guy behind me is like, "Oh, are you lactose intolerant?" And I was like, why are you why have you just chosen to talk to me? Why is this your opener? But I guess he, I don't know, wanted a lactose intolerant person to talk to. He was in the fragmentation age of the internet, and he was looking for his niche. But
r/almond milk.
Nice.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, I'm not lactose intolerant. I just like the taste. And he goes, oh well, you should put it back. I'm paraphrasing because it's been so long now that I can't really remember exactly, but I've told the story a few times.
You should put it back.
He's like, you should put it back. I'm like, why? He's like, well, there isn't that much, and people who are lactose intolerant, they need that milk. And I'm like, God. Well, I didn't know what to say, so I just bought my almond milk and left. But like, his argument was that if you like almond milk, you can't have it unless you're also lactose intolerant, because that takes away the limited supply of almond milk from people who are.
Why are there milk gatekeepers?
Actually,
I don't know.
I just recently got a food processor, and so I'm looking forward to making my own almond milk.
Yo, let's carbonate
it.
Buy
almonds. Yeah, I can just
carbonate. Soda stream the almond milk. Let's go.
Dude, there's a guy on TikTok. Not to prolong this any longer, I know people are like, come on, speed up the end of this podcast.
I think we should just talk about this in the post show. I'll be honest with you.
Oh yeah, let's just go to the post show. Okay, well, Sean, Justin, where can we find you?
You can find us. I mean, I'm famous. You can find me.
All right, Sean, where can we find you?
Wolf KO Son.
All right, Brody, where can we find you?
Backstage at the TED Center.
All right, and you can find me at All Hail Buckets on every platform. Please listen on Spotify. I have a record out. I've been promoting it. It's called No New Thoughts. It's very good, in my opinion. I hope you like it as much as I do. And also, you can find us collectively at Crub Official on all platforms, except for Twitch, at which it is Crub_official. Catch us live on Tuesday nights at 6:30 for our exclusive pre and post show. You can find this podcast wherever podcasts can be found. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And most importantly, please share. Please get the word out. And with that, gentlemen,
if you want to be that next Patreon question of the week, you know where to find us.
Yes. And also, we do have a website, crub.org. Go find us there.
Aggregates everything that we just said.
Yeah, check out everything that we have to offer. It is a lot, and it is good. And brother, the Crub train is moving. With that, let's call it an episode. Justin, play us out.